Hello everyone, Connor Whitmore here again with another review for you on the Nawtystep channel, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about the new EP from Swarm, Eat Me Alive. Swarm is back with a new EP, his first since the very beginning of last year. This is the end. Someone who over the last year or so has grown to become one of, if not the most prominent mid-tempo producer. Renowned not only for his super dark, almost haunting take on the style generally, in comparison to other practitioners of it, but also for his repeated ambition with the genre, incorporating a wealth of other genres into his music along the way, whilst also always having that grungy, heavy metal flavour to it as well. Going back briefly to This Is The End, I must mention the title track from that collection, which placed in my top 50 singles from the whole of last year. Without a doubt, one of the most accomplished mid-tempo tunes I've ever heard. Rare that you hear the genre as full sounding and rich as you do there, but I must admit I've had issues with his music beyond that when it's come to the balancing of elements. His sound and ideas remaining ambitious, but not quite having that rounded feel to it in the execution, and I would say more often than not. And so going into Eat Me Alive, I wondered what side of Swarm we would get across the stretch of it. 5 full tunes here and an intro to kick things off. The answer being that for me we get a bit of both, some questionable material but also a lot of good. Gonna start here with the central part of the EP, the drops, as with most bass music, and slowly move towards those which I think work better, because the good is so good I think it warrants being highlighted like that. Beginning with track 2, Devour Me, which just about falls on the wrong side of my personal mid-tempo enjoyment. The dark, pounding feel being there enough, but the percussion not having that powerful appeal at vital moments. That playing a part in both main drops, but he does provide a lot of extra stuff in each one to keep the listener engaged. The progression to each drop enlivens them in an impactful way through percussion, but the strings and heavenly vocals I find a bit distracting. See, I can feel the force of it, but the stuff on top, bit misleading. The heavy metal interjections in the second drop, moreover, are cool in sound but feel out of place to me and come out of nowhere. So overall, a classic example of good moments, feeling is there, but ultimately scattered in its approach and not that cohesive. Next up would have to be All Hope Is Lost, a psytrancey number that once more has feeling on lock, but as an idea, feels all over the shop. I appreciate the energy of it, again, unerringly dark, but I wouldn't say either drop is fully effective in what it's trying to do. The first, as a conjoining of elements, doesn't quite work, too much going on in the background for the psytrance to really shine through. Just a bit too much going on there. And in the second, for me, the psytrance just needs to feel a bit more pointed and more devilish. The bass to feel a bit more at the forefront, if you will, to really hit home. Yeah, feels indecisive, not subtle enough, and some of the percussion really is quite off. Another that doesn't deliver its message in a refined way. However, in between 2 and 4, we have 3. Devil's at Your Door. The first moment of true impact for me on the EP, thumping, fast-paced mid-tempo that just gets you fully rocking along with it. Devil's at your door. Both drops maybe suffer from having too much layered on top as they go on, and part of me feels like slowing them down could have made them even more impactful. But as I mentioned, for me the first instance of Swarm in full flow here, rounded production, precise, and hitting exactly where it should. And heaviness wise, the EP finishes in pretty fantastic fashion. First off with Black Hole alongside fellow renowned mid-tempoer Social Kid, which can be divided into stuff sounding like Swarm and stuff sounding like Social Kid. First drop definitely has Social Kid flavour, reminiscent of his tune Ultima with Zabo, thudding mid-tempo, nice dynamic between sounds, good flow, good beat, winding up, I love that about it, and it hits hard. And the second is vintage, drawn-out metal Swarm mid-tempo. Again, nice dynamic, nice aggression, and bounce to it. So yeah, those two drops kinda going for the same thing in different ways. so they complement each other well. What I like most about it though is how it's brought down to earth at the end, giving a chance to reflect on how much that heaviness has been felt. And then we have the closer and title track, which I don't feel could have rounded the heaviness up on the EP in a much better way. Swarm teaming up with Sounder, we get a few drops here, the evolution from one to the other, making for quite an enthralling listen. Although bits of percussion in the first drop don't quite fit, the bass hits just right, very infectious, quick tempo stuff. The double drop following that is lovely, the repeated stabs executed really well, percussion almost giving off a rhythmy flavour. Following that, what I thought was finishing the EP on my first listen of it, my personal favourite drop on the whole collection. Softly plodding mid-tempo, well crafted, before another staggered metal-infused drop. Again, well constructed and a good way to close. So quite mixed on a level of drop ideas and execution, especially when you hear it in order, but definitely more good than not so good. Something I feel is consistently brilliant across Eat Me Alive are the builds, almost all of which are very effective in their unpredictability. Not only that, but the way they're executed, really honing in on the atmosphere, expertly creating that hollow, haunting mood. A great aspect of his music, and difficult to pick a solid favourite on that front here, but I do love how the instrumental and vocal build in unison on Devil's at Your Door. Bubbling underneath. So well done. All the builds on Black Hole, jarring in a good way, and of course leading to the final drop sequence in the title track, slowing everything down. It's just top notch. Furthermore, the introductions across the board are well formed as a way of setting a tone, establishing atmosphere again. Most of all, the intro to the EP, Foreshadow. Warped and bubbling, then grand, classical, dramatic. It's well cut, and the chemistry between vocal and instrumental can be really felt. The opening to Black Hole I also find particularly stand out, that beautifully uneasy melody that does really well to draw you in early on. It's evil, but I love it. But in saying that, there are also tunes like Devour Me and All Hope Is Lost that go a bit full on, a bit too quickly, and I think could have expanded on their opening few seconds a bit more. I wanted to touch a little bit more on the dramatic side of Eat Me Alive, which at points works really well, giving it an epic gleam, if you will, like the intro, Foreshadow, as I mentioned. Other moments feel, to me, a bit too much, superfluous, misguided, literally adding sound but taking feeling away. The strings in the drops of Devour Me being a good example. Also, midway through All Hope Is Lost, a bit too much and not that genuine. Another kind of drama that we get here across the EP are the vocals, all of which I think play an important role. Many of them are swamped out by their instrumentals, so it's quite hard to concentrate on lyrics, but they play second fiddle in a good way, I think. Again, like the intros, the builds, it's just about adding to the general atmosphere and vibe. In their feeling, each vocal adds to its respective tune. In particular, the vocal on Foreshadow I like, the robotic vocal on Devour Me I enjoy. Most of all though, the title track, the vocal in which seems to quicken at the end, although I could be wrong on that. Maybe it's the instrumental, I can't work it out. A couple other things I thought I should mention here. Some really well done fake outs, notably second drops of Devour Me and All Hope Is Lost, and also the final drop of Blackout. And the melodic outros, the main melody of Black Hole at the end of that, and the different kinds of piano we get on Devour Me and Devil's at Your Door. A nice addition. But overall, whilst Eat Me Alive is a mix of, in my opinion, both the very best and not so good of Swarm, there's far more better than I thought there would be. And in interesting ways as well. I think his sound could become overbearing across a collection like this one, but he keeps it fresh and engaging throughout. There are moments, as mentioned, where I don't feel the ambition is matched by the cohesion of the overall sound. Points where the construction of sounds and ideas is muddled, too much going on in the background, could have been more subtle and considered, with perhaps more composure and patience needed, resultantly not hitting quite hard enough for how hard it's trying to hit. Couple of drops here that even probably overstay their welcome a bit. All of that can't be ignored. However, the big amount of good here is also difficult to ignore because there's just so much of it. The general atmosphere, mood, seriousness of it is really on point. It's like film music, which I think we need more of in bass. Huge variety with his sound, both genre-wise and in terms of degrees of heaviness. The attention to detail in providing every little moment here, and importantly, the stuff I don't like here isn't even overtly or glaringly bad. Things that can be easily changed and developed. The ideas are all there. Refining and fine-tuning can be done going forward. It has its drawbacks, but all things considered, Eat Me Alive has a lot going for it. Pretty accomplished. Now, in terms of my favourite on the EP, I would have to go with the closer and title track. I love the developmental feel of it from drop to drop. Really well put together. Black Hole would be a close second. And for a couple of recommendations, if you enjoyed the EP, I would definitely look at Social Kid, and I would also look at my mid-tempo best of playlist on SoundCloud. I'll link it down below. And also the Synesthesia label, which is mostly mid-tempo. So yeah, check all of that out if you enjoyed Eat Me Alive. But there we have it, guys. My thoughts on the new EP from Swarm, Eat Me Alive. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. But what did you guys make of Eat Me Alive? If you've heard it, if you haven't, go check it out. Do you have a favourite track of the 6? If you have heard it, let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to give it a big old thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell along the way so you can be notified whenever I upload a new video to the channel. And my social media accounts are linked in the description box down below. And if you want to find some other EP reviews on the channel, I will link them right here. And lastly, if it's naughty, then you know, guys, so be sure, as always, to keep it naughty and stay safe. And I shall see all of you legends in the next one. Swarm, Eat Me Alive, EP review. Peace out.